will start to vote for their own religious party, and then we have something that's exactly like Lebanon, where their society is so fractured and split, and they've had multiple civil wars.
Sure, there's a separation of church and state. You don't have religious parties. We don't have that here either. I mean, you can go have one, but once they get in government, it can't be a religious-based government.
And I think that's really sensible. You know, religion, there's nothing wrong or inherently evil about any of the religions, but religion in politics just creates many, many problems. And, you know, just because they're moderate compared to Al-Qaeda doesn't mean they're not Islamic, doesn't mean that they don't steal from people, doesn't mean that they don't kick people out of their homes, doesn't mean that...
Doesn't mean they're not constantly killing each other. So let me ask you this question. What is the current real state of the battlefield situation from your sources inside Syria right now?
Well, if things carry on as they are and the rebels or insurgents aren't giving any weapons, then the army has a sure victory. The fact that Qusayr fell in Homs is that is kind of like the Stalingrad of Syria, because Homs, the city Homs, has all the roads to all the major cities around Syria. So it's a control point. So now that Syrian military controls that control point, everything else will follow through. But unfortunately, you know, you have people like Carly Levine meeting up with Salim Idris and talking about not caring about the consequences, but definitely wanting to give weapons. And the thing is, what I'd also like to mention is that, you know, this rivalry is hyped up in the media about between the FSA and the Al-Qaeda groups. But in fact, you know, there was an article written by Andrew McCarthy, which highlights the fact that the split between Al-Qaeda and the FSA is not so deep, because in an Al Jazeera report, Colonel Abdul Rahman, he's calling himself a colonel, which is a member of the rebels' Supreme Military Council, said that Al-Qaeda was welcome in Syria to help fight the regime.
But even the CFR admits about 60% of the fighters are jihadis. Buildings are waving Al-Qaeda flags. I mean, this is Al-Qaeda.
It's, you know, it's all out in the open. They haven't really, you know, what manner of treason is it to welcome Al-Qaeda or foreigners into your land to kill your people? The only group that's fighting Al-Qaeda in Syria right now is the Syrian army. The FSA are not fighting Al-Qaeda. They are weak compared to Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is the biggest fighting group fighting the Syrian army in Syria. And, you know, he said that the FSA was actually selling them weapons. So, of course, when the US is going to give these rebels weapons, it's going to end up in the hands of Al-Qaeda. And even now, they've admitted recently that in Aspen Security Forum, that they're actually giving them a wage of